number of different institutions, from primary schools, secondary schools, right the way through to HE. Because I think the more that we can do that and encourage institutions to include these really useful and fantastic Indigenous skills in their curriculums, it means that it keeps those skills alive. I think that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you. We are seeing that there are so many roles that one can take in the challenge towards uplifting Indigenous crafts and forest conservation. Importantly, one can create or encourage spaces, virtual, physical, academic domains that allow for the mixing of these experiences. Again, consistency. How can this support be threaded into each of our everyday lives in little but meaningful ways? So thank you to all the speakers. We will invite you again later to share your reaction to the virtual exhibit. And for everyone who is watching, if you have questions again for a specific speaker or presenter from earlier on, do not hesitate to throw it into the chat box, and our staff will be happy to forward it to them. And then later, perhaps we can address it. Yes? In the meantime, let's move on to the exhibition launch. The 4-day session of our discussion has centered on sustainable practices for craft communities, the preservation of culture, and care for the forest land. Visually, how does this translate? What images do we bring with us after this is over? And how do we concretize these concepts after this experience? Now, we culminate by launching a virtual exhibit that celebrates this goal in mind. From land to loom, from fiber to form, Woven Networks research projects. Please watch this video.
From Land to Loom, From Fiber to Form is the virtual exhibition component of the Woven Networks research project. It presents the highlights of the scoping research through a digital platform. It emphasizes the key findings of the research grantees from their interaction and shared engagement with partner communities. The scoping grants pave the way for identifying paths towards inclusive sustainability of forests and communities that rely on them. The virtual exhibition references objects from the National Museum of the Philippines collections and is among several educational materials of the Woven Networks initiative.
Joining us today is the curator of the exhibit. She is an educator, writer, and contemporary art curator. Her recent research and curatorial work include the Southeast Asian Neighborhoods Network, organized with the International Institute of Asian Studies in Leiden, the Netherlands, and the Philippine Pavilion at the 58th Venice Art Biennale. She was a researcher at the Fukuoka Asian Art Museum in Japan in 2017. Her essays and reviews have been published in anthologies, academic journals, and exhibition catalogs. She is currently an associate professor in the College of Arts and Letters at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She'll tell us more about what you can expect to see when you go through today's virtual tour. Without any further ado, help me welcome Ms. Tessa Maria Guason. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, thank you, Kay, for the introduction, and good afternoon, Woven Networks grantees and collaborators from the United Kingdom, partners from the British Council, the design agency RDB, the Forest Foundation, and colleagues from the National Museum. The virtual exhibition From Land to Loom, From Fiber to Form, as mentioned in the introductory video earlier, is among several advocacy materials of the Woven Networks initiative. It aims to present to the general viewing public the initial findings of the scoping research projects realized through a partnership between the Forest Foundation and the British Council, Manila. My interest in the project stems from my background and training in design, and more importantly, the urgent need to reframe our views to abide the interwoven relations that shape our contemporary world. So suffice to say, I learned much from reading the reports by the grantees. We owe the virtual exhibition content to them, all the photographs, the video content, and the text come from the research reports, the UK collaborators, and most especially the members of their partner communities, who I will mention here. Ana Sarmenta and Gloria Lim's partner communities in Rojas, Puerto Princesa, Aborlan, Nara, Sofronia Española, Brooks Point, and Rizal, Southern Palawan, Twinkle Ferraren, Dr. Peter Oakley, and Rebecca Hoyce's partner communities in Misamis Oriental, Samar, Leyte, and the Sierra Madre, the Tina Weaving community in Aborlan, Palawan, who worked closely with Life College Incorporated, the communities in El Nido, Aborlan, Nara, Quezon, and Annalyn Salvador Amores collaborated, the artisans of Leyte's 3rd District, Villaba, Tabango, Kalubian, San Isidro, and Leyte, who were the research partners of Dr. Eric Zerudo and Beverly M. Bautista, Carmen Lopez's research collaborators, the women weavers of Samar and Leyte and Eastern Visayas, the weavers in Sierra Madre with whom Puede Panublix worked, and the community partner of Emmanuel Andaya, the weavers of the Higaonon Mintapod village in Bukidnon. So they are the people we will see in the exhibition later. So I took time to mention where they are from. There are many potential resources that can also be referenced in relation to the virtual exhibition. There is the entwined spheres, mats and baskets as containers, conveyors, and costumes exhibition at the National Museum of the Philippines. It is also good to visit the 4th floor exhibitions on forests at the National Museum of Natural History. There are plant specimens there from Aborlan, Palawan, one of our focal landscapes for the research projects. I am certain more connections and linkages can be found if we remain curious and pay enough attention. And as Becky earlier mentioned, this has to do with a slowness to going through our daily lives, thinking through the processes we engage in. There is much to learn from our grantees partner communities. Foremost would be lessons about creativity and the nature of artistic practice, whether weaving fibers to become objects or allowing images and words to convey ideas across platforms we design and create, like the virtual exhibition you're about to see. It would do us well to be reminded to trust and respect the creative process and the artistic practice. If you scroll through the virtual exhibition, you will find near the end an image of a woman weaver wearing a cap, I think it's a bonnet, inscribed with the phrase noble trade. Perhaps we can also strive towards this kind of noble work by reframing creativity, relocating creativity in the context of our daily life. Those who work the hardest and the most arduous are rarely given space or time to speak in events such as this. So at this point, I would like to acknowledge colleagues from RDB with whom I worked closely, Carl Valencia, Patricia Mendoza, and Katleya Law, and of course, our tireless Anne Palacio from the British Council, who facilitated exchanges all throughout. I hope the virtual exhibition becomes a springboard for asking more questions and for exploring directions these initial researches can take. Maraming salamat at magandang hapong muli sa inyong lahat. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope everyone is buzzing with anticipation and proactive creative energy after that, no? Can I ask all of our speakers who represent the different sectors to be back on screen, please, and give their thoughts on the exhibit? We have a few questions that would be nice to juggle in between each other. All right. Is everyone in? I encourage you to turn on your mics and your videos so everyone can see. We'll have a little discussion about. All right. So, first question. What did you think of the exhibition as a forester or a youth artisan or a designer? your profession, what stood out for you? What spoke to you? Let's begin with Miss Aoi.
Okay, so what did I think about the exhibition? To be honest, as a young artisan, it was hard to digest at first. So if I am a person that did not come from extensive background with research or would know these things, it was actually kind of difficult for me to understand. But throughout the last few days, I did understand and it did make sense, especially since I do have a little background on weaving so far and how the processes work and um, how the forest is connected with the craft and how it's connected with museums and how it's connected to culture, and it goes back to how we see life connected with what we do. So I think it just took a while for me to also understand how and where we are with with information was we were receiving.
Right. A little packed, no? A little intense.
Yes,
Yeah?
it was.
Yeah?
It was a lot to digest.
Okay. Well, that's fine. How about Miss Becky? What did you think about the exhibit?
I think for me it was a fantastic example of diversity across the forest communities. And I think we have to understand it as a celebration of the complexity of the communities that you're working with. Yeah, that's my.
Though I was thinking what popped up for me actually was, I mentioned it earlier, but soft power, and play, right? Throughout the 3 days, we were talking about how we could get the younger generation interested in pursuing crafts to make it sustainable. And we've talked about how endangered some of these are. And I feel like the virtual exhibit is one form of soft power, right? To get people interested in what is actually happening when we talk about forest conservation and craft with relation to that. And I'd like to sort of invite everyone, also our audiences, to think about it in terms of play, right? If you think about it in terms of play, it comes naturally to you, right? And there's so many ways, I suppose, to tackle this. A second question that popped up is, how do projects like this one impact the craft communities and our endeavor for forest conservation? Do you find a direct link? So after the talk, there are people who come right up to you, or does it need a little bit of a push? Does it need a little bit of a spice to sort of interest people a little bit? How does that work out for you? Miss Joanne from the Forest Foundation, do you find a lot of people sort of coming in for grants or bursting with energy and wanting to be a part of it?
Oh, hopefully. But I think the best thing about having a virtual exhibition is that unlike before when we're using an exhibit in a physical form or something, we need to go to the place and able to see it. But if for a virtual exhibit, it opens a lot of doors to the various public. So basically, particularly the youth, the millennials, the Gen Z, who actually are also the group of people that the Forest Foundation would want to target as new conservationists, as new forest conservationists, because what we're doing right now, saving the tradition, saving the culture, saving the forest, is actually we owe them a better future. So for the question of whether this exhibit would could translate into more grants or more forest conservation action. It's the hope. And we're hoping that upon seeing this, that more than just seeing the bags, the banigs, and the woven crafts, we could trace back to the resource base of how we came with the intricacies and the patterns, the designs of these crafts to the natural resource base, which is mostly the forest. Well, basically the projects is about forest conservation, and we hope that through this we could showcase more the culture of our artists and the artisans. We have this kind of artwork that needs to be revived and rediscovered. And at the same time, when we rediscover it, we will the thought that we need to further our forest conservation action so that we could save the artwork, the tradition itself, and the culture, and thereby the forest could be passed on from our generation to the next.
I love that you mentioned archiving, no, because documentation is vital to preservation. I was thinking of that blanket in Nueva Ecija that was hung on the church, and I felt, and that stayed with me. Actually, this was from 2 days ago, I think. And I was thinking, how could we preserve that? How could we interest young people? And besides, thinking forward or thinking for the next steps, I was thinking about what could have transpired before that. How could we access historical data like that? And with a virtual exhibit, not only is it documented, right? It also gives access to Filipinos in diaspora or people like Miss Becky, who are lovely to interact with and to collaborate with for designs, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think this is one way for us to marry something very literally on the ground, such as forest conservation and technology, right? So thank you so much for your insights. And thank you, Ms. Gozon, for putting all of this together and for that lovely curatorial note. Now, I'd like to turn the spotlight to our audience. We want you to explore the exhibition at your own pace, right? And take in all the amazing stories that you find there. So here's a short video on navigating the exhibit on a digital platform, Microsoft's way.
Welcome to From Land to Loom, From Fibre to Form, Woven Network's research project's virtual exhibition. Through this video, we would like to give you a quick guide on how to tour the exhibition using the digital platform Microsoft's way. We hope to give you the best user experience. It's simple. On the homepage, you will see 3 buttons on the lower right corner of your screen. Use the leftmost button to jump from one section to another. The exhibition has several sections. To navigate, use the middle and rightmost buttons to scroll right and left. You may also drag the bottom cursor left or right. Click on the image to view the full artwork, and click X located on the upper right corner of your screen to exit. There are multimedia contents available across the exhibit. Feel free to watch the video on the page, or you may view it in a new tab or window. There are also links to external resources. Just click on the hyperlinks to open the external links, which will lead you to another tab. You may also view the exhibition in a simpler way. Just hover on the upper right corner of your screen, click on the icon with 3 dots, and select Accessibility View. To go back to the original layout, just click the same icon and click Exit Accessibility View. Easy, right? Touring the exhibition will only take 15 to 30 minutes of your time. We would love to hear your feedback. For more comments and information, just refer to the section on accessing the virtual exhibition. If you have any technical issues, you may email us at arts@britishcouncil.org.ph. Enjoy your visit and don't forget to tell your friends. Thank you.
Now we are inviting everyone to visit the virtual exhibit and view the key findings of the Woven Network's research from their interaction and shared engagement with partner communities. To do that, please click the link that is shared in the chat box. You will see it there, or scan the QR code on the screen. It should be flashed right in front of you. We will give you a few minutes to do that now and save the website for reviewing later on. All right, be sure to share it with friends and family members, especially those who are outside of the Philippines and want to see how we are doing conservation practices here. All right. I hope everyone got that. If you missed the QR code, you can find it on the chat box, or you can just ask for it if you missed it from the staff. I think it should be in the British Council social media sites later on. Okay, we will now proceed to the awarding. To the ardent and the faithful who have been with us since day one of the Woven Network's sharing sessions, we promised some online shopping credits. So the winner of today's trivia game, get them as well, and they will be announced right now. Those who have been with us since day one will be announced after today's session for you to be counted in. So I'm going to announce the trivia game winners to begin with, and you should expect an email from an RDB representative regarding that. So congratulations to Pearl Sarona. I hope you're here. Connie Ladrido, Micah Reganit, Pearl Olive Marano, and Emmanuel Andaya. Thank you very much for participating. Your name is also on the chat box. Congratulations. To claim your prizes, again, expect a representative from RDB Manila to connect with you through your email. Okay? Before we end the program, here's a really quick poll to gather feedback on today's event. Short, sweet, but also very intense. And we are going to leave you the rest of the afternoon to browse the exhibit, which hopefully will become an inspiration or a dive point for future research. So how did you feel about the exhibition? Excited? Happy? Neutral? A little bit too much to digest right now, maybe? Confused? Where are you in all of this? I'm happy to see that we are 59% happy. Me too. Me too. It's actually a culmination of very successful research done in a pandemic and in the middle of a lot of natural calamities, no? So congratulations to our researchers and our grantees. Thank you for your work. Congratulations to our communities. Thank you for persevering and for preserving what it means to be Filipino. All right. Second poll question. Will you visit the virtual exhibit and invite your friends and colleagues to do the same? This had better be an overwhelming yes. All right, okay, thank you. I've saved the QR code for myself later on, also after this, because I have actually been very excited about a lot of the presentations that have been presented in the past 3 days. So yay, 95% yes. Thank you very much for that. You'll never know who you will share it to, who will eventually in the future land some groundbreaking research that will uplift a large portion of our communities and our forest lands, right? So do share it around. Thank you very much for your feedback. Okay, a few reminders. If you wish to review the research studies from the past 3 days presented in the sharing sessions, you may access them in the British Council website from the 2nd of September, that's today, onwards. All right, it will be archived there for your reference. In the meantime, You may email us for inquiries, burning questions, or comments that you felt were not exactly addressed because of the limited time that we have. So email them to maryanne.palacio@britishcouncil.org.ph. It should be in your screen right now. Note it or screen grab it for later reference. We will also be sharing session recordings and other resources on the British Council's website. So be sure to follow British Council's social media channels at PH British on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and use the hashtags Woven Networks, Crafting Futures, and Let's Grow Together if you want to post about the event. I'm Kay, and I've enjoyed being your host for this week-long gathering of changemakers. I hope we'll meet again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Enjoy the exhibition, and always be a force for good. Salamat kayo.
From Land to Loom, from Fibre to Form is the virtual exhibition component of the Woven Networks research project. It presents the highlights of the scoping research through a digital platform. It emphasizes the key findings of the research grantees from their interaction and shared engagement with partner communities. The scoping grants pave the way for identifying paths towards inclusive sustainability of forests and communities that rely on them. The virtual exhibition references objects from the National Museum of the Philippines collections and is among several educational materials of the Woven Networks initiative. Welcome to From Land to Loom, from Fibre to Form, Woven Networks Research Project's virtual exhibition. Through this video, we would like to give you a quick guide on how to tour the exhibition using the digital platform Microsoft Sway. We hope to give you the best user experience. It's simple. On the homepage, you will see 3 buttons on the lower right corner of your screen. Use the leftmost button to jump from one section to another. The exhibition has several sections. To navigate, use the middle and rightmost buttons